Joining me now with more is Edward Djerejian, a former U.S. diplomat who served in 8 administrations. He has also served as U.S. ambassador to Syria and Israel. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us this evening. What is your assessment so far of the Kerry-Lavrov meetings, especially with this latest news that they will extend talks to another day? Is this a sign that they're reaching some sort of agreement?
Well, I think it's a sign that the talks are serious, very deliberate, and hopefully constructive. I think what the United States and Russian representatives are trying to do is how to parlay the immediate crisis on chemical weapons use and getting those weapons under international control and dismantled, how to parlay the agreement on chemical weapons into the long-awaited political process for a solution to the Syrian crisis. Let me say from the outset, there is no military solution to the Syrian crisis. There's only a political solution. So if the breakthrough that took place this week on chemical weapons and the Russian proposal can be parlayed into forward movement on the moribund Geneva initiative to get a ceasefire in Syria, to get the parties, the regime and the opposition to talk with one another, and to lead to a political transition in Syria, this would be quite significant.
Well, Ambassador, how much of this positive development can change, though, if and when that UN inspection comes out in the next few days, and it turns out that the Syrian government is implicated in the chemical attacks?
Well, look, there are a lot of pitfalls to all of this, as you mentioned. First of all, we need to see what the UN inspectors report will reveal, what they will say. Secondly, the Syrian government has to live up to the words that it's conveyed through the Russians, that it is serious about really giving up its chemical weapons capacities. And they're going to have to allow the international community to put all the necessary arrangements and safeguards in place in Syria to get that done. This agreement that is being formulated between Russia and the United States on chemical weapons cannot become a subterfuge for just delay, where nothing really happens, just words are spoken, because then the international community will be facing the same type of crisis we've been facing over the last 10 days, and that would be a very serious setback.
Well, and from the U.S. standpoint, they seem to think that to speed things up or to keep things moving along in this process, that they need to keep the military threat alive or keep their military ships in the area. What is another alternative?
Well, the other alternative is to get the United Nations to Security Council to agree on enforcement measures if the Syrians do not comply on the CW deal. Now we'll have to see what Russia does in the Security Council, what China does on the Security Council, because Russia and China have been supportive of the Syrian regime's position in the past. So the key powers are going to, on the Security Council, are going to have to deliberate and negotiate on what a common position can be. But let's face the reality that it was only after the American president made it very clear that he was very serious about taking military action in the face of the use of chemical weapons in Syria that the Russians and the Syrians did get together and made this proposal.
You have deep experience in the Middle East as former U.S. ambassador to both Syria and Israel. Do you feel by addressing this chemical weapons attack, do you think it'll open the door to the other issues surrounding the war in Syria? You touched on it just a few moments ago. Do you think they'll bring about some sort of resolution?
Yes, I think this is essential. I mean, this is a time for very bold, creative diplomacy, not only on a part of the United States and Russia, but the whole international community and the regional partners, the Arab world and countries like Turkey, the key countries that are involved in what's happening in Syria. This crisis that erupted over the use of chemical weapons should be translated, as you've indicated in your question, into the political process that has been moribund. It's been dead. The Geneva Initiative, first under Kofi Annan and now under Lakhdar Brahimi. So, you know, in history and diplomacy, crises do not only create dangers, but they also create opportunities. There's a famous Chinese phrase, weiji, which is danger and opportunity. It means crisis, if I'm not mistaken, in Chinese.
Ambassador
This is
Djerejian,
the time to use that.
Ambassador, I'm so sorry we are out of time, but we appreciate your time and insight, bringing your perspective to our show.